What is up, everybody? I am Ant, and I'm joined by my friend and co-host. Introduce yourself, sir.
Christian, let's get it again. Episode 3, Monday Night Raw. Let's go.
Christian is keeping tabs of his episodes. Episode 3.
Episode 3 for me. Episode 3
Episode 3.
for me.
Episode 3
I'm
for
excited to
Christian.
be here again with Anthony to cover Monday Night Raw on November 28th. So let's get
Yes,
to it.
dude. Winter is coming. Actually, that's AEW. That's not
That
WWE.
is not WWE.
And they
That should
still
be a
have
good pay-per-view though.
that would be a sick pay-per-view. Now
It would
wait.
be no, it's not a pay-per-view, but it would be a cool pay-per-view. Like they're doing it as a Dynamite,
Oh, okay. And
but it would
yes,
be a cool
Ricky Starks
pay-per-view.
and MJF.
Yeah.
Yep. Okay. Yep. I was learning about that. Okay. See, I'm doing my thing. Um, if you're watching us live on YouTube, you could tell that I am our WWE pay-per-view champion. So I gotta represent with a title belt. Chris has an opportunity at the Royal
Is the
Rumble.
Royal Rumble the next pay-per-view? Like throughout AEW and WWE? Okay.
I think so. I think.
I think it is too. Okay. No,
I
yeah.
kind of am interested to see. I kind of want to see Impact though a little bit.
Mm.
I kind of want to see Mickey James see if it's her last match.
Poor Mickey James, man. She's been through some rough couple of
Jordan
weeks.
Grace is kind of manly. I was
Dude,
listening to her
I
voice.
remember watching. I didn't think I looked at because I follow Impact on Instagram obviously, and I saw the thing. I was like, that's her? Like I remember watching her when I was a kid. Like she
Dude,
looks the
I
exact
found
same.
she was attractive, I thought in the beginning, and now I think she's taking like testosterone or something because her
Probably.
voice has changed. Her, you know, respect to Jordan Grace, but something's changed there, and I don't know what it is, but
No, I think Mickey James
something.
needs to hang up her boots. She has nothing left to prove in the wrestling industry. She's done it all.
I agree, but I just think like I would just love for Mickey to come back to WWE just
I
one
know.
more time,
I
just to
know.
get the actual farewell that she deserves from WWE.
Oh,
You
absolutely.
know,
She didn't get
because
the right farewell.
like, excuse me, like she goes into the Royal Rumble match.
I was just gonna spring that up. Yeah.
Like I thought they were gonna do something, maybe make her like Final Four or something, or like
See, my issue with Mickey James entering it wasn't I didn't it wasn't that I had the issue of her going into the Royal Rumble with her being an impact. It's the fact that WWE spoiled it with them announcing that, hey, Mickey James.
yeah.
Imagine the freaking pop if you would have heard like hardcore country come out in a
Mhm.
WWE Royal Rumble, like the crowd would have went insane. But I didn't. I was like,
I
oh shit,
hated
like
that
here we
too.
go. Like I wish they wouldn't have told us that Mickey James was
They
gonna
should
enter
have called this Rumble match the Total Divas
the
Royal
total
Rumble.
Divas, and
It
that's the closest.
literally. Go ahead, man.
No, I'm sorry, I'm sorry. I was
No,
gonna
you
say
go ahead.
that's the closest we're ever gonna get to, in my opinion. Well, I don't know, but I think that's the closest we'll see like a Impact WWE crossover, maybe any crossover within WWE, because I don't know if WWE is really interested in doing any crossovers.
Yeah, I just wish that some of the people, that were like, I think Mickey deserves to be in the WWE Hall of Fame just
Absolutely.
because we're talking about someone who did something that was like so like ahead of its time. Like in 2006, I was like 12 or 13. No, I think I was 12. And to see like the whole like obsession gimmick, and I'm bad at math. Was I 12? How old was I?
I'm just counting how old I was. I think I was 2, 3, 4, 5.
So I was born
I
in
was I
93.
was 4 years old.
Okay, so I
So
was
I
like,
remember her having her weird obsession with Trish Stratus, and then they lost the
yeah,
title at Mania.
that was a big deal. And I remember when she won the title, I remember going to school the next day and we had printed out on like our computers like the picture of her as a champion because I was surprised to see her beat Trish. I was interested in that
It
one
was
for
a
some
really
reason.
good story, man. Really good story. I have
Yeah.
that on DVD, and when they play the promo, I like how WWE used to do the good promos before the pay-per-view
Hmm.
matches, especially the championship matches or like the main event. They don't do really that. They do, but it's not as good anymore.
Fucking WrestleMania 17, Rock and Austin.
That is probably the best promo before
Boom.
a
I
match
remember
ever.
seeing that shit live and I was like, that I'm telling you, there's nothing like being a kid during that time. Dude, I'm telling you, nothing like I remember being like, oh, Judgment Day 2002 is coming on tonight. Like all those memorable, moments and
See, I'm unfortunate. I didn't get to live through the Attitude Era. I'm only born in 2002. So I lived through the Ruthless Aggression Era, which I mean, I think me personally, I've watched all the Attitude Era, I've watched the Golden Era, I've watched all the eras, but to me, the Ruthless Aggression Era was just it was very, very perfect until
Mhm.
the end. Until the end when like the whole thing happened with Benoit and like the late 2007 early 2008 when WWE really started to change the PG. That's when I kind of like didn't
Yeah, kind
really
of fizzled out.
kind of it's not that I did that. I still watched it every day. It's just it just didn't hit the same as like you said watching it when you're 13, 14.
Mhm.
But those were the days, man. Those were the days. I wish I was alive for the Attitude Eras.
Dude, I'm telling you, I stopped watching it when I was like a freshman in high school, and that was like '08. I started my freshman year. I think it was October. Yeah, October 2008. Was I a freshman? Yeah, October 2008. I was a freshman, and I remember I stopped watching it, and then I watched it again in like 2013, like 2014.
Yeah, I remember I took a break. I want to say I was in eighth grade. I stopped taking a break from it, like literally just like you, freshman year. And I remember going through Instagram and it was WrestleMania 34. I think the last time I watched WWE was the Mania 33. So when 34, it was WrestleMania 34 was in Louisiana and in New Orleans.
That was a good one.
Yeah, that was a good one. And I remember like watching they used to do the kickoff shows for free on YouTube before the actual
Hmm.
show. So I was watching it, I was like, oh, like I wasn't familiar who Asuka was. I wasn't familiar with any of the storylines because I haven't watched it in like maybe a year. And I bought the pay-per-view and started watching it again ever since WrestleMania
Hmm.
34 heavy. And I'm here now talking with Anthony on the Uncensored Pro Wrestling Podcast.
Boom. I'm glad you're here with me. Well, as we discover more about our entrance into WWE, let's talk about this episode of Monday Night Raw, live, as you said earlier, on November 28th in Norfolk, Virginia. And the Bloodline arrived backstage to open up the show. Of course, they don't have Roman or Paul with them, but that's not really a surprise not seeing Roman on TV. Pretty normal. How are you feeling about the Bloodline? War Games just ended. They're strong. How you feeling?
I'm feeling like they're the hottest thing in pro wrestling right now. So to kick off Monday Night Raw after War Games, they just won the main event at War Games, possibly the biggest men match of the year. So to kick them off, opening segment was very, very good. They're the hottest thing in professional wrestling, and they're having a segment later on in the show. So it's just a good build up. Good to see what happens later on in the show. Really, really makes you want to watch.
Bloodline. Yeah, I was excited to see them. Interesting way to start Raw. And I was happy to see they didn't start off Raw. I was happy that they showed them and they let Becky Lynch actually do those honors. Becky comes out and she says, "It feels good to be back." She gets in the crowd with the fans and she says, "After 4 months, now that I am back, I'm ready to jump off cages and take care of business. In the time that I've been gone, the industry has changed, and I can't wait to slap the hell out of everyone who gets in my way." And that's when Bailey comes down with damage control. Um, well, she doesn't come out with damage control, she comes out on her own. And she says, "When I saw you come out, I thought you returned and felt humble. But then you go on and on about putting your body on the line for these people." She says, "I do that and I get no respect for everything I was doing the last 4 months. You idiots have no appreciation for your role model." Becky says, "These people don't appreciate you because you're a loser," which is true. I mean, she loses a lot. If you want to fight, I'll come down and we can fight. Um, that's when damage control attack Becky through the crowd and into the backstage area. Becky, Bailey, damage control, they fight through the merchandise area. A bunch of like the fucking like the merchandise wall of t-shirts falls down.
Imagine
Like
going, hey, before I know Becky Lynch is just gonna start the show. Hey, I'm just gonna go get maybe like a T-shirt or something, and then you just see them. Oh, they're going through the crowd.
Dude, I would have stopped what I was doing and be like, oh shit.
No, I
So
know.
guards separate them. What did you think of this opener? I thought it was a really good one. I enjoyed it. It was different. We don't often see this type of thing to start Raw, but especially with the women. What did you think?
Like you just said, great. I'm gonna jump on what you just said. Great way to start the show. You can't. This is something you can't do often. You can't really do that much crowd interaction every show, just because you don't know what the fan like. For example, Bobby was cool, but the other dude that Becky Lynch was with, he was a
Oh,
little
I
drunk.
forgot I didn't talk about Bobby and the. Oh my gosh,
It's all
go
right.
ahead,
So
Christian.
Becky Lynch starts the show and she goes up and she says hi to Bobby. Bobby, the crowd starts chanting Bobby, Bobby. I know this is probably the best day of Bobby's life. Fun fact, in case anyone didn't know, Bobby bought that ticket at the show an hour before the show started at the ticket box. It was one of the only seats in the house available. So for him to get a last minute ticket and for that to happen, man, I can't
Get
imagine.
your last man ticket, folks.
I can't imagine that. But so yeah, crowd starts chanting Bobby. Bailey comes out, says Bobby sucks, and Becky Lynch says Bobby doesn't suck. Like I said, really, really cool that especially the women are interacting with the crowd. I'm just so happy to see that Becky Lynch is back. She's been on top of the Raw Women's roster for quite some time, especially ever since, her winning the Rumble, her winning the main event at WrestleMania versus Rousey and Flair. So it's just good to see her back. I missed her promos. I missed her in-ring matches. She's such a good worker. She has good chemistry with the entire Raw women's locker room. So I'm excited to see what she's gonna do. Hopefully she wins the Rumble. If she doesn't, I'm excited to see what she's gonna do at WrestleMania. But I'm really looking forward to see Becky Lynch back.
You're right, man. I forgot about the Rumble coming up. Becky could be a early contender for being a winner. Uh, I don't disagree with that. What do you think though? Is going to be next? Like, do you think we're gonna see Bailey and Becky continue? Do you think Becky's gonna get some help? Because it looks like, and we'll talk about this later on. It looks like the teaming of Belair, Bliss, and Asuka is going to split soon. So who's going to help her take out? I mean, we know on SmackDown, which we will talk about soon, we saw help. The odds were evened up, but it looks like Damage Control got they didn't get the best of Becky, but who
No,
wants to
yeah.
constantly get attacked 3-on-1?
Well, my thing is, I think I don't. I'm gonna be honest here. I don't know how that's gonna play out because I think that they're gonna set up Belair versus Bailey at the Rumble. Usually they like to have title matches at the Rumble. Um, I truly think we'll see how it plays out. Maybe we'll see Belair and Becky team up against Damage Control for something. But I would just like to see Bailey, or I'm sorry, excuse me. I would like to see more of Becky Lynch focus on the Rumble, and I would like to see Bailey take the title off Belair at the Rumble. Becky wins the Rumble. Maybe it sets up Bailey versus Becky at Mania. I could be obviously way wrong, but that's just my personal view on how I would like to see Becky Lynch move on forward.
Respect it. My only thing is for me, like I don't think Bailey deserves a title shot now because she kept losing. So they're gonna have to really prove her getting a title shot for me to really want to root
No,
for her.
I absolutely agree with that. And
As I choke to death.
no, and like you said, I don't know if she deserves it really too because she has only been back for a short amount of time. But since she's so involved with Bianca Belair in the storyline, I just feel like maybe it's right. I'm not saying she should win the title,
Yeah.
maybe, but since the storyline is right, I feel like maybe it should set up Bailey versus Belair.
One final time, please. We've been doing this shit for 2 years now, Christian. All right. But you know what? I'll watch it. I just would hate for Bailey to win because then it's like, why did you have her lose so many times if you're going to set up to have her win?
No, yeah.
But it's all right. Let's talk about the first match of the night, though. Mia Yim, sorry, comes out alone to take on Rhea Ripley, who has Dominic Mysterio with her. to protect her, maybe. And Rhea's in control to start. Mia applies a tarantula. Mia then nails a drop kick into the corner and then tornado DDT and gets a 2 count. Dominic distracts Mia, which then Mia pulls Dominic into the ring. AJ Styles comes out and attacks Dominic. Judgment Day run out and attack, but then the OC clear the ring, and AJ Styles takes the mic and said, I thought this was over at Survivor Series, but I was wrong. It's going to end tonight. The Judgment Day versus the OC. So Mia versus Rhea sets up this 6-person tag match. What did you think of the singles match to start? I mean, it was okay, but how do you feel about it, the rivalry continuing?
No, I agree. So I'm gonna be honest. I thought the rivalry was gonna be over at War Games as well, but I see why it's not. Just because we haven't seen an OC versus Judgment Day match. But the singles match was okay. I'm happy to see Mia Yim back in WWE. Um, she does a lot more striking, a lot more offense. Rhea Ripley was showing more of her strong side, what she can do on the strong side. I had a feeling the match wasn't going to end clean. Just because, like I said, there's history. They're in a big rivalry right now. Um, but I'm finally happy we're gonna get this match because I feel like it it's been built, it's been meant to happen for so long. But it could have been better. Um, Balor and Ripley losing at Survivor Series, so they're trying to get a win here, and them getting the win here is them getting their revenge. So I think it could have been better. I'm hoping we get another match, one final match. I don't know where, but I'm hoping we get one final match because that although that match was good, it could be better, and especially how long they've been building up this storyline. And me personally, I think it's such a good storyline. I just don't want it to see it end the way it ended this past Monday night.
Yeah, well, I mean, the way it ended this past Monday night, we don't have to go into too much detail. Mia, ends up body slamming Finn Balor, and
That was sick,
that
man.
was cool. She goes to grab Dominic, but then Rhea Ripley kicks Mia's leg and nails the riptide. I feel like I agree with you, but I agree with you because I don't think if this is the final match, the right person made the pinfall. Like it should have been either AJ or Balor. So it's kind of like, I
Yes,
get Mia and Rhea don't like each other, but it seems like Balor and Styles have more bad blood. So I'd rather have seen it end with one of them getting the pinfall. It's like kind of like
absolutely.
a cowardly's way out of ending this to make sure no one gets like a loss because AJ, can't really have a loss and Balor can't really have a loss, I think, at this point. So
No, I agree.
but I do agree with you. Like they should have, if this is gonna be the end, they should have made it like, you know, even if like Rhea helped them get the win with it, it should have been Balor to get the pinfall if that was the
Absolutely.
case.
But it was still a good finish though. But
Yeah.
I just hope that and it's not, but I hope that that's not the end of the story because they need to have one good match. And like you said, it has to be either Balor pinning AJ or AJ pinning Balor.
Yeah, or they're gonna have to do some kind of thing where like the members can't get involved or something needs
Something,
to happen where it's
something.
like this is the final. Well, moving on, we see the Street Profits return. I was happy to see
I'm
them
happy to
back.
see Montez back, man.
They're the bomb. Even Angelo Dawkins, though, I wasn't excited to see him, but he was pulling out some impressive moves in his match later on.
See, I feel like they don't know what to do with Angelo Dawkins without Montez Ford because Angelo Dawkins, they could have maybe used him as a singles or they could have
Yep.
done something with him while Ford was out of action. But and I agree. Like I don't know what you could do with Angelo Dawkins without Montez Ford. He's not interesting to me without Montez Ford. I think it goes vice versa because I know people say Montez Ford would make a very good singles competitor, and I'm not disagreeing with that. I also think Angelo Dawkins can make a good singles competitor. But you could have the in-ring talent, but you need a character. I personally don't think either of them have enough character or have enough of, something to get the fans going to
Mm-hmm.
be a singles competitor. I feel like they have that more together. But I feel
Okay.
like Ford has more that than Dawkins. But
Yeah.
they need to be together for them to, and they're one of the best with the tag team division kind of being rocky, with the Usos holding the championship for as long as they have for them to be back in the tag team division, it's good. I'm happy to see the Street Profits back.
If Dawkins were to be singles, he'd have to be a really tough heel, um, kind of like a not exactly, but kind of like a Keith Lee, where like more
No,
like
yeah.
powerhouse shoulder blocks,
I
like
just don't know what
take
they
out that
do
way.
with him, man. I don't know what they would
Yeah,
do with him.
I mean, they could put like a powerhouse Hobbs and make like I'm from the mean streets of da 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 da. You know what I
Maybe
mean?
they could do a feud with Ford, but I don't. If they like, let's
Nah, I
say
don't want to see that. They do that
I
with
don't want to
everyone
say
in
I don't
tag
know,
team.
and
No.
I completely agree. But my thing is, I genuinely don't know what else I would be
I
interested
mean, maybe Dawkins can be like, listen, like 40 your mind. Like maybe they could do a storyline where like Dawkins has to split with Ford now because kind of like New Day, where it's like they take a break from each other for a little bit so he can focus on, like, for example, like let's say Montez and Bianca are in a storyline and Bianca gets beat up, but none of this ever happened. But inadvertently, another dude hurts Bianca. That's personal for Montez. So he's like, listen, we're a tag team, but I got to handle business for my wife.
No, that
Let
would
me
be
do
really cool
that.
to see.
And then maybe Dawkins, in a way, can sort of, because Montez Ford kind of already built this singles character. Like we can see him as that. We
Right.
don't see that with Dawkins yet because, like you said, when they could have used them, they didn't. So I think if they maybe um sort of like even Madcap Moss. Like Madcap Moss doesn't really have a personality, but the more you give him us, like the more we see of him, not that you like him, but you get used to him and you're kind of
No,
like
yeah.
that's kind of like Alpha Academy. At first I didn't like them, but now I think they're a really good heel tag team and they're like important to the division, I think. But I don't know. I do agree though. Star power wise, Montez Ford definitely is the one to go. But you know, look at the Shield. Each one of those guys made something of themselves.
Yep.
So I mean,
I
you never
agree.
know. Let's move on. I'm happy to see the Street Profits. I'm happy to see this group though, the Bloodline, come out. And Jay grabs the mic and Jay says, "On Saturday we went through war at War Games. Duh, we the ones." And who was it? Solo threw the one symbol at you, right?
Yeah, so when I sat Monday Night Raw, I said, "Yo, Solo, we the ones," and he kind of like did it low key. Low key, he went. He does it sometimes. You notice he does it sometimes, but and I'll get into it. But he's more.
We're gonna talk about Solo and that attitude a little bit because
Oh yeah.
there's something going on there. So you got a first hand account of Silly. He's a big dude, right? He
Oh
looks
my God. In person, oh my God, he's so big. So they all are, but like Jimmy or excuse me, Jay is tall in person. Like I really got the good view. He is tall in person. Solo, he is just big. He
big.
gives me
He's
so,
jacked.
and I've seen Umaga live as a kid, and it really reminded me of him. Like I know I see it on TV, but in person, I was like,
I
damn.
saw a really good Facebook post that had me smiling because I'm such like a stupid wrestling nerd. That's like, oh
Yeah,
wow,
yeah, me
that would
too.
turn me on if that happened. So basically it was something that said like the elder sent him and it's a picture of The Rock. So the storyline is that like if The Rock was like, yo, infiltrate the system, I'm gonna send you to fuck up, Roman's thing. And that's why Solo's been standing there kind of like, I mean, I don't know about that. It was just thrown out there. I just thought it was like
Oh,
interesting. Like if that I could
that
see
would
that
be
being
interesting.
because then it's like, all right, you have someone representing The Rock. It would make sense because their history. So doesn't get along with Roman outside of I mean, they didn't speak for 20 something years. Um, so it would make sense if The Rock were to be like, you know what, like we gotta team up, little brother, or not little brother, but you know what I mean, like little cuz,
Yeah,
like
no, I
let's
completely
do this
understand.
and let's bring down this group. You haven't liked Roman for years. Let's do it.
That's why I think Solo's gonna be the one to turn on the
Yeah. Oh,
bloodline.
dude, you are 100% correct on that. Just based on Raw and SmackDown this past week.
Yep.
Let's talk about it. So, Jimmy says there are no cracks in the bloodline. Kevin Owens is mad back there because Sammy is not his dog. He's our dog. Sammy says, for the past 6 months, Jimmy, you've been down since day one. Jay, I know most of the time you didn't trust or like me, but the way you accepted me into this family, the way you embraced me, That was Uzi. As I fall back in my fucking chair, do you see that? Do you see me slowly moving backwards?
I heard it too. I heard the.
It's like a lounge chair, so like it moves back.
Oh no, I do that too. I like to lean back. I have a really bad habit of leaning back on my
I'm
chair.
not trying to. I'm
Oh,
trying to
I
get
don't
a
try to
good
either. It's just a
shot
bad
with
habit.
my belt, the things I do for this title. Like put my body on the line to defend it every fucking Monday and Friday. Okay, moving on. Sorry. Um, so yeah, so he's like, you embraced me. That was very Uzi. Any bloodline business we have to handle, we are on the same page. Sam the Usos hug, and they call Solo to hug, and Solo's looking like he's about to say something. Maybe he's looking like I don't want to hug you guys, and that's when Kevin Owens comes out, and Sammy says, "Stop right there before you do something stupid." Kevin interrupts and says, "I'm out here to tell you, I totally get it. How many times have I turned on you? I'm not mad at you." Kevin says, "I can't blame you. Since Saturday, I can't help but think for 20 years our careers have been linked. But after Saturday, I'm done." He says, "I don't want anything to do with you." Sam was like, "I feel exactly the same. I don't need you anymore. I have family now." Kevin says, "I'm happy for you. Finally, everyone can see how great Sammy is. To see you get that recognition, I love it." Kevin says, "It doesn't matter how many times they call you family, you're not their real blood, and you never will be," which is a true fact. I
It is
mean,
a true fact.
you can be friends with someone as much as you want, but so then Jay's like, he's mad because Kevin doesn't have any family around him. If you got a problem with Sammy, you got a problem with main event Jey Uso. And Kevin says, "Why don't you and I meet up in the ring tonight?" And it is set up. So, what do you think of this storyline now being that they're all together? There's no cracks. Sammy is good. What do you think is going to happen?
So before I get into what I think is gonna happen, I just want to talk a little bit about the promo itself because I think it was interesting. And there's two things I just want to talk about real quick before
Yep, go ahead.
I talk about what I think is going to happen next. But one, I think it's very interesting to see Jey Uso finally embrace Sami Zayn as family, and to also see him defend Sami Zayn against Sami Zayn's longtime best friend Kevin Owens. Another thing that I really thought interesting to me was Kevin Owens coming out saying how he was done with Sami, but he's also happy for him at the same time because we know at some point the bloodline is going to split up. And I will get into that and I have it down. Oh, okay. So I know we all know the bloodline's going to split up eventually,
Mhm.
but we also know Kevin Owens will be involved in that split up. It's either going to be there's talks right now where he's either going to fight Roman or he's going to you reunite with Sami Zayn and take on the Usos for the undisputed tag team titles. So
Mhm.
how maybe the way Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens are going to reunite is going to be the most interesting thing because they just and I think they will be because they just said they're done with each other. They want nothing to do with each other. But when let's say the bloodline turns on Sami Zayn, I feel like maybe Sami Zayn's gonna need to turn to Kevin Owens. Hey, I'm sorry. Let's team up, take on the Usos. But if I'm being honest, what I think is going to happen with the bloodline is Solo Sikoa will turn on the bloodline. And the reason for that being is if you ever notice Solo coming out, he doesn't put the ones up. You know, he him and Roman don't never really got along outside of the WWE.
They made a point to tell us that too. That's important to think about too. They're not going to tell us stuff if they don't want us to know. So go ahead.
Yes, so they never got along with each other outside WWE. Solo's more younger than the Usos and Roman Reigns. So when the Usos and
Not to cut you off. What's funny is
no, go ahead.
Solo's my age and my
Oh,
brother is
really?
those age, so it's an exact
No way.
yeah, it's an
Okay, that's
exact
cool.
difference.
But
So it's
yeah,
8 years. So go
no,
ahead. Go ahead.
exactly. So
Mhm.
Roman is about the same age as the Usos, and the Usos are way younger than Solo. So growing up, it was more. the Usos are always hanging out with Roman, and Solo really has nothing to do with that. So one thing I could see happening is, Solo turning on Roman Reigns, and maybe the Usos being like, "That's our tribal chief. That's our tribal chief," and maybe Solo Sikoa saying, "He's your guys' tribal chief. He was never my tribal chief. We've never got along outside. We've like, you never talked to me. You always hung out with my brothers." I feel like they can put some real personal
Hmm.
facts about, Roman Reigns and Solo outside of WWE to put that in a storyline. But the only problem I see with Solo turning on the bloodline is what's Sammy gonna do? Are they gonna turn on Sammy? Is Sammy gonna turn on them with Solo?
I think,
That's the only thing I don't know what could happen if Solo, because everyone expects that, the bloodline's gonna turn on Sammy and then blah
yeah.
blah blah. But if you really pay attention to Solo, he is very important in all this because he
Hmm.
doesn't say anything. And if you
This
just
is there.
if you watch him by his face, it's so important.
The only thing that I wonder, and I get they're probably not going to explain it, is I just wish that, like, I get it for storyline purposes. He needs to help out Roman, but it is going to be a little hard hearing, like, I never liked you, but I helped you win the title. Unless he has a good reason, which is like maybe like I'm working for someone else. I'm like, there has to be a reason that if you hate someone that much, there has to be an
And
ulterior
I
motive, which is
yeah.
why if they do it good, and I'm jumping ahead because I'm talking about SmackDown,
No, go ahead.
Solo still helps them out,
Yep.
and at least it would like make sense. But like, okay, like he hasn't changed. Like he helped out Roman, he
And he throws
helped
his
out,
ones up on SmackDown. So
yeah. But like, just because he helps him out doesn't mean that he can't still be like, I've had enough. I honestly think this is gonna be a Civil War situation where it's gonna be like
you
Rock is
gotta,
the one,
yeah.
pick a side, and I think it's gonna end up being like, or my other theory is that the Bloodline's never gonna split up. And what's gonna happen is they're gonna, like I said, with the New Day, sort of go their own way, do their own thing. Um, I don't know. I just feel like they do have to break up. I get that, but like they are just making mad money off of this whole Uzi thing right now, and
They
I really,
trademarked Iguchi,
yeah, and I don't see
which
them.
I don't blame them shit. I would
Yeah,
do the same thing.
but that means they would have to write us out for like what, like 4 more months. They're not gonna, if you're trademarking stuff, if you're making, there it's gonna be longer. So I
How
have a
much
feeling.
how
Go
much
ahead.
money you think WWE's shop has made off Uzi shirts and honorary
Oh,
Uzi shirts?
so much. And that's just because we live in a society where like everyone does whatever is popular, right? I mean, I don't find the Uzi thing, like Dory finds it funny. I don't
I
find it.
found it funny the very, very first time. I was watching the episode live
Yeah.
When Sami Zayn said it. I thought it was very, very funny. But we talked about this off air. Oh no, we did talk about it on air. I kind of do think maybe sometimes they fake the whole, you know, breaking character thing.
Yep. Because then that makes you a part of it. That makes you, oh, I'm like them. We're all laughing at the same thing. We all find this funny, and you want to be like a wrestler, right? Like
Yeah.
you're all inside the same joke, right? That's why we like Matt Riddle, when he talks about banging the bong, like, like hitting the bong. Like we all
Yeah.
get that inside joke. It's
Yeah.
part of it. So I get why they do that. I want to talk about something really quick before we go on our first break. Candice LeRae is backstage and she's being interviewed about fighting Dakota Kai. I did not see this until I saw this on Facebook. If you pay close attention, in the back of Candice, Nikki Cross is watching her. And Nikki Cross even posted this on Instagram. It's in the back, it's a freeze frame. She's in the back, like sitting on like some
Really?
like, yeah, she's sitting on like, look on Nikki Cross's Instagram. If you go on her Instagram, you'll see the actual shot of Candice being interviewed, and Nikki actually points, like has an arrow pointing to her, and it shows her. So they're doing some kind of angle where Nikki is stalking or going after Candice in some way, shape, or form. Check that out quick. because it is kind of interesting. I didn't see it until a fan said something about it, and then I was like, all right, let me
I don't
create.
know if you can hear it playing in the background, but
got here, head down, smile on my face, just trying to get the lay of the land and damage control. They just
She's in the back. She's right behind
I
a
a
yellow.
yellow thing, yeah.
Yep, that's it. Yep. So I mean, what are they doing with that?
Oh, there she is.
Yeah,
There she is. Oh my God, I didn't even notice that.
that's why
And you
like
can
this
see her
era is
phone
so cool.
recording. Oh,
Welcome back, folks. Christian and I were just very excited about Nikki Cross being behind the scenes, and our good friend Shirley, who does the recording for us here on Zoom, decided to cut us off so rudely.
I hate
Uh,
when she does that. It's like she never wants to hear us talk about what we have to say. And it's very
reminds me of
rude of
a
Shirley.
she reminds me of an angry ex-wife.
She reminds me of an angry Siri.
Yeah, angry Siri. That's a good
She's worse than
example of
an
her.
ex-wife.
She's an angry Siri. Fun fact. Okay, so let's just dive right back into just what we were talking about as I display my title. Um, Nikki Cross, what's that all about?
Who knows?
Do you think she wants to like work with Candace? Do you think she, is wants to attack her? What does Candace have that Nikki Cross
Once.
wants?
That's
Johnny
I
Gargano. I want your child. I'm like
um
Rumpelstiltskin.
I don't know. Maybe it could be with something about, damage control last month attacked Candice LeRae. So
Yeah.
maybe that could just be Nikki Cross, doing her part on her role in damage control. I don't know.
I didn't think she is she an official member of Damage Control now?
I don't know. I don't think she is,
She
which,
just was on the team.
yeah, but
Okay.
yeah. So I don't know. Cause I just figured that out on air. So I, I have no
You
idea
have to
what
think
that was
about it.
about.
You have
I
to
really have to think about it because I just figured that out. I didn't not even notice that she was recording.
totally cool, man. Totally cool. Did I say cruel? Totally cool.
Cool. Hey, we're the uncensored pro wrestling
Yeah, we
podcast.
fuck up sometimes. It's okay. Well, we have our tag match: the Street Profits taking on Alpha Academy, and Elias and Riddle talk backstage, and pretty much the Usos say whenever they want a match, they'll defeat Elias and Matt Riddle. So we find out later on that on Raw it will be Elias and Matt Riddle challenging for the undisputed tag titles against the champions, the Usos, this Monday on Raw. But let's talk about the Street Profits versus Alpha Academy. Dawkins nails a really cool modified clothesline / slam. Otis accidentally runs into the post shoulder first. Dawkins with a spinning splash and silencer to Gable. Otis breaks it up. Montez Ford body slams Otis and nails a frog splash on Gable to get the 3 count win. Not much to talk about here, just a decent tag match to see the return of the Street Profits. But what did you think? They looked really good.
Yes, sir. Like you said, not much to say. Good match, bad crowd. And I will talk more about the crowd later throughout the show, but good match, bad crowd. Good to see Ford back in action after 2 months. Um, it was very entertaining to see just because the Street Profits and Alpha Academy have worked together so much this year. So their chemistry is off the roof. I think Chad Gable does very, very good matches, but always loses his matches.
Yeah.
And I think maybe he's just there to, put some guys over, but I feel like they need to maybe do something a little more with Gable because he puts really good matches. Same thing with Otis. Otis puts good matches. But there's not much to say. Good match, bad crowd. When you're working when two teams work together all year, it's always going to be a good match no matter how much you always see it. So I wish the crowd would have been a little better, but good match between good tag teams.
Yeah, it was a good. I mean, I really enjoyed it at home. Sometimes the crowd's just, sometimes shows can be a bit too long, and I know like we're not really like deep into the show, but I don't know.
We're probably already an hour and a half already at this point, and the rest of the show's kind of
Yeah. Well, we have our new WWE United States champion, Austin Theory. He's just like me, man. You know, winning the title.
A-Town down.
A-Town down, winning the title again. You know,
Let's
I
take a
can't see
selfie.
my man is
Let's
trying
take
to
it.
show.
Let's
Oh,
take a
that's a
selfie.
selfie. Okay, cool.
I'm just trying to take a
Yeah.
nice selfie.
Dude, we kill it with the selfies. All right, so Theory comes out and he says, all of you wanted to hold me down. You said that kid looks stupid. Well, who looks stupid now? Theory says, I beat Seth Rollins and Bobby Lashley at the same damn time. I'm no longer the next big that, which I thought was funny because I feel like he kind of got in trouble for saying the next big thing because that was Brock Lesnar's gimmick.
Yeah.
No, he's the next big that. And I'm like, what does that mean?
The next big that.
Like, okay. Theory says, I am now and forever the face of WWE Raw. Since day one, everyone had a problem with me because everyone wants to be Austin Theory. I'm unescapable. And the Austin Theory era begins now. That's when Seth Rollins comes out, and Theory says, what happens when the younger guy makes you look like the past? And Rollins says, deep down, Monday nights belong to me. Congratulations, kid. Seth says, oh, what? You don't like being called kid? He says, that's fine. If you want to fight me, we can do it right here. Give me your best shot, kid. Theory looks pissed, and Theory says, I'll fight you, but on the champ's time, and I'm not your damn kid. And Theory leaves. We talked about this a little bit about Theory sort of being kind of cowardly. But I guess I can ask you this question since we kind of talked about the cowardliness of Theory. Do you think, what do you think? How long do you think Theory will be champion? Do you think he's going to defend the title for a while, or do you think Theory is going to be champion till Mania and then someone will beat him? Because I think he'll have a good feud with Rollins up until that point.
No, exactly. I'm hoping he has a good feud with. I wrote down. I hope he has a good feud with Rollins until the Royal Rumble because, with Vince's character, when Vince was in charge, they really, like I talked about this during the War Games episode, they really made his character kind of the selfie gimmick. No one wanted it. I thought it was stupid. I thought it was really corny. Triple H is letting Theory use more of him inside his character. His confidence has grown up so much since Triple H has taken over. He looks so good. The fans are so interested in this story. Seth gets in his head. This was a really good way for Seth to get in his head. This is such a good story. I don't want them to save this for the Rumble. I want them to save this for Mania. Maybe they could do something between. Maybe they could do a match at the Rumble and another match at Mania. I don't know. They need to save the match for Mania and the storyline at Mania. Get Bobby Lashley out of the picture. Mania needs to be where this match goes down because besides the whole bloodline thing on Monday Night Raw, I think the Seth Rollins and Austin Theory thing is the second hottest thing on Monday Night Raw.
You know what I would like to see? This is gonna be really random. I would like to see. I know you want Rollins and Theory would be a great match at Mania, but I would like to see a Theory versus like a Ricochet or like versus Santos Escobar, because I know not random, maybe not those exact people, but
No,
in that vein, in the sense of that, like, I want to see two guys who wouldn't get a WrestleMania spot spot for a title that isn't often used, right?
Yes.
So
Because
maybe
last year Ricochet was the Intercontinental Champion, he didn't even defend it at Mania.
Yeah. So like even if it's not even if it's like a Gunther, like a Nakamura, like right now, like for the US title, I think the champion, who is the I think it's no, because it's Johnny Gargano, and in my storyline, Gargano is taking on oh god, Chad Gable at the pay-per-view. Chad Gable is kind of like an American hero, and raw and whatever. So, anyways, I just want to see someone, maybe a Chad Gable could get like a WrestleMania opportunity. I mean, he could go singles, and I just want to see new people get shots. I think Rollins needs to be a main event guy, and I get it right now. This is the main event title on Raw, and I feel like I don't know. I just don't think it's holding up because it's never been looked at. Like the US title has never been looked at as a main event title. The Intercontinental title, sure, Whereas US, so for me, it's hard to really look at that and be like, okay, this is one of the main events of Mania. But storyline wise, it could be. But I just think Rollins has a bigger opponent than Theory at Mania. I would hope. I do like Theory, and I do think you want to build him to be that big guy. But I don't think he's the next big that just yet. I think by next Mania, not this year, but the year after, by 2024, maybe we can have Theory possibly main event or be. But I just don't think he is ready right now. But that's not to say I don't want to see a good US title match take place at Mania.
No,
But,
I completely agree. The only problem is all those guys you mentioned are sadly on SmackDown.
yeah.
So besides Rollins on Raw, I don't really know how else you could
Unless
use
they do a
Theory
draft
because
before.
right, because I mean you could
I
with
just
your
hate the
they
draft.
I hate the draft, but with the thing about like the United States Championship match is they I feel like they could use some guys to like Gargano, for example. They're using Gargano with the whole Miz and Loomis situation when he would be a perfect competitor to fight Theory at Mania. He's
Mm.
had done some, he's had his NXT days main event in some really, really good matches, but he's never
Well,
had his WrestleMania moment. He's
we
never had a
can't forget. You're right though, dude, because we can't forget. Didn't he? You just reminded me. Didn't Gargano kind of feud with Theory when he first came back?
yes.
They could go back to that.
So I think I hope Gargano, but for now, and another thing is I don't know who else Seth could have an opponent against. Like, I mean, maybe Roman, but it wouldn't make sense because the whole storyline.
I
He's not
know
involved with the
who.
storyline. Who? Don't say Cody Rhodes.
That's what I was gonna say.
I don't want to see it for the fourth
I
time.
know you don't, but it's like the same thing. Like, it's almost like the New Day versus the Usos. Like you said earlier, if people fight and they have good
Maybe
chemistry,
maybe a WrestleMania Part 2 where Rollins knows he's fighting Cody Rhodes this time. Maybe,
yeah. Because I
maybe.
think I really like your idea of Gargano versus Theory. Because I could totally see Gargano being like, "Dude, I've watched from the sidelines, and you've always been nothing but a kid to me. You're
Oh
actually my
yeah,
son. You called me daddy at one point. You are a kid." And then that'd
exactly.
be like, "Yo, what?" And then sets off
I would
if
love to see that.
because that's what I kind of want to see too. I kind of want to see them start using NXT rivalries too. We're not stupid. We know who's with who. When we see Gargano and Ciampa come back together, we're all gonna go hard. Like we're not dumb. So I feel like if they were to do like, oh shit, like they had history in NXT, now they're bringing it to Mania. I mean, that's what.
I hope Triple H knows that because Triple H and I know like it it really gets me like I don't want to say upset but like like why don't you do it? Like why don't you do it? Triple H, you literally are the reason why all these guys are successful.
Mm,
He is the reason Ciampa and Gargano had their moments. He's the reason why Dakota Kai, Io Sky, he's the reason why Ripley, Bianca Belair, every person on the roster, Triple H is responsible for, in my opinion, their success on
mm,
NXT through the main roster. So I'm hoping Triple H does maybe like a Gargano versus,
yeah.
Gargano wins the US Championship and then fights Ciampa. Because Ciampa's been booked like absolute dog shit since he's been
Mhm.
moved up to the main roster. Absolute dog shit since he's been moved up to the main roster.
I
So
mean, look at Shayna Baszler on SmackDown now. I mean, it's only 1 week, but I mean, look, she's been competing in singles matches for like 5 weeks on SmackDown. When's the last time we saw that? So, it could
yeah.
happen.
I
And I
hope it
think you
does.
mentioned it that Shayna was sort of one of Triple H's girls. So, I mean,
She was Triple H's girl for like a whole year and a half when she was champion. She had that really good. She had two
mhm,
really good NXT Women's Championship runs. She had some really good pay-per-view matches against Kyrie Sane, against
mhm.
some really really good people. So yeah, like Ciampa's definitely a freaking Triple
And
H
she has
guy.
history with Dakota Kai. I mean, if they want to go back, they could say,
They
you
could,
know,
yes.
I made you not want to compete in the War Games match. Like I scared you. Remember, she did the whole gimmick where Dakota was afraid
I
of
think,
her, and you
yeah,
know,
I sadly think she's gonna. Well, not sadly, because I feel like it's gonna be well deserved, but I think she's finally gonna get her SmackDown Women's Championship opportunity at the
against
Royal
Ronda.
Rumble. At the
I
Royal
think we,
Rumble.
you know what I think we're gonna see at Mania. I think we're gonna get I think we're gonna get Becky versus Ronda. And I know a
Maybe
lot of people.
Charlotte. That's my
Yeah, but
theory.
we've already
Charlotte.
seen that. Seeing that, listen, I'm like, I know we're going off the deep end here. Here's my problem. When Ronda came back, and I said this before, why the fuck did she go after Charlotte? She had nothing to prove against Charlotte.
No, yeah, she
Becky
had something.
beat her. Becky pinned you at WrestleMania. She's the one that made you lose your title, not Charlotte. Yeah, Charlotte might have been the champion at the time when you came back, but so was Becky. Why didn't you go after Becky? And I
Absolutely.
think that they wanted to wait till they had a bigger WrestleMania goes Hollywood. Becky Lynch, Ronda Rousey. You know, I mean, the
I'm hope
man versus the baddest woman on the planet. I mean, we've all been waiting
I'm
for
hoping we
me
get
at
that
least.
match. They just got to do some kind of brand split, or they got to do a draft or something, or maybe just say fuck it and just do the match. Who knows?
Or say, you know what, both titles, they're not going to do it, but both titles on the line. One permanent. I
I'm
would just
tired
love
of
for
that.
them to get rid of all the double, like Raw Women's Champion, SmackDown Women's Champion,
Yeah, we talked
this
about this
champion.
on the Survivor Series episode, and I agree with
Like,
you.
but I
But
get they need to focus other women to have a chance, but like,
yeah,
they're not doing that. It's the same four people as champion every time. So I
no,
don't know.
yeah,
I want to see Becky versus Ronda because we haven't seen a singles match between the two
we have
at
not.
all. We've seen a single
No.
match between Charlotte and Ronda 3 times now, right?
Yep.
Survivor Series,
Survivor Series.
Mania, and then Mania Backlash. Like, we've seen it. You've proved your point. Charlotte might come back. Maybe that will happen. Maybe Charlotte will come back and beat Ronda. Ronda's fucking livid. And, you know, maybe she'll go. I mean, I doubt it, but maybe she'll go after Becky. Because I feel like Charlotte's going to be the one to come back and take the title from Ronda.
And I hope
Because
that's how I genuinely hope that happens. Like I said on
it probably won't, but
I hope it does, because like I said in the last episode we did in War Games, I feel like Charlotte represents. I don't even feel like she just represents the SmackDown women's roster. I feel like she represents like the entire WWE women's roster, with the exception of, Becky Lynch, Bianca Belair. But Charlotte Flair, and I don't like her at all, but I gotta give her fucking flowers,
yeah.
because and not just because her dad's the nature boy. Like, maybe, yes, that might have something to do with, all her championship runs, all her great matches and stuff. But she genuinely, you know, when she has the championship, she carries it with pride. She
She's
defends her.
believable.
She's believable. She defends her championship. She doesn't let no one try to come take it from her. She's just a very overall good champion. So, as much as it gets boring seeing Charlotte Flair, always win the SmackDown Women's title. I hope if she does win the SmackDown Women's title again, I hope she, does more with it than she's done in the past, because, and maybe in the past, I feel like her last recent excuse me, I feel like her last recent SmackDown Women title run was a little bit, she fought, some jobbers and like just beat the shit out of them, all of them. So I'm hoping with this SmackDown title reign, she does more with it, maybe
She
defend it
could fight
on
Shayna at
fight
Mania.
Shayna, maybe she could defend it on Raw. Maybe I just hope she does more with it. And I feel like she could be the one to do more with it than Ronda
Yep.
Rousey. So I don't care how Ronda Rousey loses that
Loses
damn
it.
championship. I just hope she loses it at this point, because
If
the SmackDown
Charlotte
Women's
beats
division's getting tough to watch.
it is, man. But if Ronda beats if Charlotte beats Ronda, then you could easily say, Shayna, you beat my friend. I'm coming for you to defend my friend, and I'm coming for the title because I'm the submission magician. Your figure eight is nothing to my Karafuda clutch. Storyline like that. I mean, I don't know. For me, I just really want to see Becky versus Ronda. So do whatever it has to do. So
We'll
that,
see, man. We'll
and I
see.
do think we might see. Listen, we might get Bianca versus Bliss. At Mania or at Rumble. We'll talk about that later on. But let's move on. We see the Miz backstage. He's pretending that his hand is hurt because he doesn't want to compete in this anything goes match.
I love the
I
Miz,
mean, in the
man.
Miz, it's like, dude, just go out there and
I
fight.
told him he had tiny balls, and he got so pissed off.
Dude, he has something to get Maurice, man. I wish I could be with
I
her.
wish she was there, man. I would have said
Oh,
something to her.
dude, that when I was in high school, like we'd be writing in Italian, like, who do you like? And I put Maurice, or like, like that was my
She's,
like,
I believe she's French Canadian.
oh yeah.
Yeah, so it's kind of like really different from the whole Italian. It's like really,
Dude,
imagine. I
it would
wonder.
be a multicultural event that would be of epic proportions. It would be like fucking Superstar Showdown slash it would be intense.
It would be
Um
really cool.
it'd be cool. So the anything goes match does take place because Adam Pearce is like, you're lying. If Dexter gets the win, he gets a contract and the money back from the Miz. If the Miz wins, then Dexter Lumis is gone from WWE. Here are some quick notes from the match. Uh, Miz hits a DDT on Loomis, but Loomis sits up really quickly and scares the Miz. Dexter Loomis rams Miz's head many times into the LED board on the ring apron. The two fight in the crowd. Loomis sends the Miz into a TV monitor. Loomis places the Miz on a table. He lands an elbow drop through the table, and it looks like Loomis actually hurt himself during that move. Miz pulls off a turnbuckle pad, and he sends Loomis into the exposed pad and rolls up Loomis with his feet on the ropes. Ref catches that and says no, 2 count. And as I hold on to my title, because I almost dropped it. Sorry. The ending comes after Loomis applies a silencer on the Miz, and the Miz taps. After the match, Loomis starts to hand out $100 bills to kids in the audience, but the Miz attacks Loomis, steals the money back. However, Gargano super kicks the Miz and hands the money back to the kids. Gargano is like Santa Claus,
He is
helping out
Santa.
all of the kids. So, what do you think of this match? We finally get to see Loomis versus the Miz. Did you think it delivered? And what did you think of the after effect?
I thought the match, I want to talk. I don't want to talk necessarily about. I will talk about the match, but first off, I want to talk about a little bit about Dexter because we haven't seen him in a while. This is one of his. Really, I think this is his first match since coming back to WWE. His
Yep.
matches are never good.
No, they're not. They're
They're
not.
never
I've
good.
never. No.
I feel like Dexter's character is so unique. I feel like it's never always about the matches. I feel like it's more with the storyline. So for him to get his WWE contract finally, I'm just happy he's back. I hope they do more with the character, but I hope he gets more matches in because, like I just said, his matches were never good, even from his NXT days.
Oh, 100%.
They're
Him with
just
Cameron Grimes, I wanted to shoot myself.
they're just never good. So I'm hoping he has some good matches, but I love his character. It's so unique. But the match was, it was decent. Not the probably the worst match of the night in my opinion.
Yeah.
Um, hopefully this ends everything. Hopefully Gargano can move on from this because he's not even involved in the whole freaking. He is, but this really should have been more of Dexter and the Miz's storyline. Gargano just kind of got involved.
The only problem with Loomis, though, I will say, is that his gimmick is going to become like, I don't want to say boring, but repetitive.
Yeah,
Every wrestler he's gonna fight is gonna act like they're petrified of him, and it's gonna be, if they're not smart about it, it's gonna kind of become like Boogeyman-esque, where it's like everyone's afraid, everyone's gonna jump back when they see him and do.
yeah.
And it worked with the Undertaker because the Undertaker was genuinely scary. Loomis is scary, don't get me wrong, but like
He doesn't do anything that
he
makes
does,
like Undertaker comes
no.
out of caskets, Boogeyman eats his worms. Like Dexter doesn't do anything like that to make
Yeah,
you.
he just steers. And like also he has a sort of humorous side of him being with Index. Like it's hard with a character who's supposed to be like a murderer,
Yes.
psychopath, choosing a profession of being a professional wrestler because it's not, I know wrestling's not believable, but like, come on, a murderer is gonna be able to control his tendencies for 3 seconds and not kill somebody. It's like hard to really. And I get that's like it. That's the whole point of it. Then you would be scared. Of course, you're gonna be scared of a
Right.
murderer coming to get you. But like they haven't really shown him doing that to anybody. He just looks creepy. So like they haven't shown him like dissecting animal or him like with like
No,
show
I
us
agree.
that so that we
Yeah.
can see. Okay, like they show shit with Bray, like you could show him like hurting a squirrel. Not that we would want to see that, but like show him doing, even if it's a fake animal, something to
Nope,
make
I
us
agree.
understand why he's so like weird and why everyone's creeped out by him.
Absolutely.
They
No,
never explained it.
absolutely.
They just showed Dexter Loomis and he just does the weird eyes. It's like why?
No,
Why? What's his story?
I completely agree. And I as much as I want his character more to develop because the character is already unique, but everything you just said could add on to his character. But I hope he has better matches because he's never had any good matches. His
Yeah,
matches, I never want to watch his matches.
he's not compelling enough because
He's not.
there's not enough reason to care about his stuff. Like, yeah, the Miz is probably why we all tuned in because we knew the Miz is gonna, do something humorous or do something crazy. I feel like even the storyline, like at first, I was interested, like when the whole thing where it was like people showing up in the crowd, nobody knows who it is, stuff started to go wrong in the arena. Remember, stuff was just happening, and you're like, who is behind it?
Right.
It's Dexter Loomis because the Miz screwed him over with money. It just doesn't add up why you would want to attack the company instead of just.
Yes, I agree.
But no, I do. I do. I'm excited to see what they're going to do with Loomis, but I'm just kind of scared that he's going to become, and then they're going to rebuild his character into something else, and it's going to be,
It's gonna be a whole freaking mess.
yeah.
But I'm happy he's back.
Speaking of a mess, though, and this is completely different, Impact Wrestling likes to kill their wrestlers, don't they? Like, I was just looking at a list of wrestlers they've killed. Supposedly, they had Karrion Kross have his Eddie Edwards like ate his skull or something. Yeah,
Ah,
I didn't know that, but they just killed Eric Young. Spoiler alert. Um, so I was confused that they were going with those storylines and Impact. Mickey James got pushed in front of a train by James Storm. I mean,
well, those are probably more safer than freaking AEW because AEW, man, you see everyone actually getting hurt. You know how many people they have injured?
dude,
They've had so many people injured. It's like it's unsafe to work there. It's like like people don't know how to wrestle. Like so
yeah, I
that's
don't get why they're
probably
getting hurt.
yeah. So that shit's probably safer than over
Yeah,
at
you
AEW.
getting your face ripped off and by Eddie Edwards. Well, at least you get Scarlett with that, so
Yeah.
I would be okay with that. Let's move on. We have our one half of the women's tag team champion Dakota Kai taking on Candice LeRae. You mentioned it earlier before War Games. Damage Control attacked and injured Candice. Candice is trying to get some revenge. Some quick notes here: Dakota lands a pump kick. Candice slams Dakota hard into the apron and nails a missile drop kick. Candice misses a moonsault. And Kai nails a scorpion kick, and that gets a 2. However, Candice gets the win after a twisting neck breaker off the top, and Candice gets a 3 count. So Candice LeRae proving that she's a great wrestler. They didn't use Nikki Cross in this match, so we still don't understand why she was backstage. But I've always been a big fan of Candice. She's more of like a hardcore wrestler. If you've seen some of her indie stuff,
And her NXT, even
well,
in her
even
early NXT.
NXT, like her fucking match against I like this wasn't hardcore, but her match against Io Shirai at Takeover at Toronto, they put on a hell of a match. So I've always been a big Candice
Io
fan.
Shirai always puts on a good match. He said they're both really good.
Yeah.
Dakota
I don't really
Kai,
have much to say about this one,
I
but
don't
what
have
about
much.
you?
Yeah, like I was just about to say, I don't have much to say about this either, man. It's a good match between two good women. Candice getting her win, she gets some revenge, like I just mentioned, from Damage Control attacking her last month. Um, Kai gets. I feel like Dakota. I like watching Dakota Kai because her offense is. She likes to kick a lot. I feel like that's always been, more her thing. Even
Mhm.
from her NXT days. So you see a lot of that. You see Candice LeRae going from the top rope, doing her thing. So not much to say about the match. I think I don't want to say it could have been better because I don't know if it could have been better. I think it was it was just right. But maybe like you said about Nikki Cross, it definitely sets up what's gonna happen. Uh, because if anything, Nikki Cross should have came out and
Yeah.
during that match. So I don't know, but decent match. Candice gets the win. She gets her revenge. I'm hoping to see more of Candice LeRae on TV because the crowd really wasn't, I see why the crowd wasn't too much interested in this match because, Candice hasn't been on TV much.
Mhm.
So I know it's kind of hard to be like, oh my God, yes, like she's finally here. And even when she debuted, the pop was kind of like still kind of
A little
rocky,
lackluster,
a
yeah.
little lackluster. So I don't know. We'll see what they do with her, but good match. for Candice LeRae. She hasn't been on TV in a while, so it was a good match for her to come back to.
I agree. Well, we then go to our last segment of the night. We have the Raw Women's Champion Bianca Belair, Asuka, and Alexa Bliss backstage. And as Alexa Bliss is standing, we can see the Bray Wyatt logo flash on the TV behind her. And Bianca says every plan that Damage Control had backfired. My girls came together and ended it at War Games. And as Bianca's talking, if you watch Bliss, Bliss is looking at the title and she's looking at it kind of like gaze, not like just sort of like in her own little world looking at the title. And they ask her a question and Bliss sort of pops back into life and is like, oh yeah, she's like, Becky was a great addition. She goes, yeah, she made a great choice with Becky. So, you know, they're not trying, you don't have to be an idiot to see that Bliss is coming for the title. She's got something to do with Bray Wyatt, obviously. What are your quick thoughts on that?
Quick thoughts are, I think they're gonna do a little bit of a character change. You see how she's not really doing much of her crazy doll gimmick, but she still brings the doll out. She still openly talks about it. So I think we're in for another character change from Alexa Bliss. Maybe her getting a title shot versus Belair. Maybe Bray Wyatt having something to do with her winning the title, possibly. I don't know. It's interesting to see, but I think definitely we're gonna see another character change by Alexa Bliss for sure.
I want Bliss as champion again. She has been champion since 2018.
No, and she's been a really good champion. She's always
And
been a good champion to watch. I think her cashing in the Money in the Bank was my favorite Alexa Bliss moment. She's
I
always been
just
good to
think
watch.
my
She's a really good
problem with
heel.
Bliss,
Really
she
good
is a good
heel.
heel. She's 100%. But my problem is like I hate it when she became the Bray Wyatt character
That's my
because
exactly.
it just they didn't do anything. I do if they make her sister Abigail, then I can respect it because I can get her name is Alexa Bliss Abby. You know, I
No,
don't know.
yeah.
I just don't see what they would do. It's been a long time since she was with Bray. That it's just kind of like what happened that that would make her want to be with him. I don't know, but they could do a whole sort of like possession thing where she can't really control it.
We'll see, man. It's
And
definitely it's been an interesting with the segments this episode of Monday Night
yeah,
Raw.
man, a lot of it is like sort of like attitude or inspired. You have to look in the background. You have to look for
You
clues.
really
And I'm
have to
really
look,
into.
and I'm loving it, man. I'm really liking the new WWE. I don't want to say new WWE product because, Triple H has been took
The new
over for a little
elements
bit.
to it.
Yeah, it's we're getting a new era coming up, and
Yes.
I think we're now finally I think War Games was the beginning of the new era we're coming into with Triple H. So I don't know. I'm very very excited to see what they're gonna do with Alexa Bliss because I've never been a fan of Alexa Bliss. Like obviously I'm a fan of her craft. I'm a fan of her work because she plays her heel part specifically very very well. But like I just don't like she always I just don't like her character, Alexa
Yeah.
Bliss.
Yeah.
But she's a very good worker, so I'm hoping she does something heelish, and we'll see. We'll see.
See, but like I hope she has something heelish, but that the fans like her. I hope she kind of has like a Becky Lynch heel because I just think
Yeah,
Bliss is badass in some
and
way.
she talks. She's really good with the crowd.
Yeah. So
Really good with the
I
crowd.
don't know. We'll see.
We'll
Let's
see.
talk about our main event. We have half of the Undisputed Tag Team Champions, Jay Uso with the Bloodline, taking on Kevin Owens. We talked about this. Kevin's not really your favorite, but I thought this was a decent main event. Just some quick notes. Kevin nails a senton to the outside. KO goes for a swanton, but Jimmy gets his knees up. Jay gets his knees up. Jay sends Kevin hard into the post, and Jay nails a running hip attack in the corner. KO nails a top rope neck breaker. What was interesting to me was that Jay delivered like 4 super kicks. Kevin kicked out of all 4 of them, and KO super kicks Jimmy. Solo ends up dropping KO, but KO ends up getting the stunner once on Jay, and he gets the pin. I feel like they made Jay look weak in that situation. That dude, like 4 super kicks couldn't hold down KO, but 1 stunner could drop Jay. So, what do you think about that?
I think this was a good match, good main event, and a good finish. I think this was the best match of the night overall. I think it's clear that Kevin Owens is going to challenge for either an undisputed title or a tag team championship with Sami Zayn in the future. Because I feel like now we're gonna start to see Kevin Owens have these matches where he's going against, members of the bloodline, or he's teaming up with other people to fight members of the bloodline. Um, and I want to talk about Jey Uso a little bit because, we've seen for the past 2 years, we all know he's a tag team wrestler, but for the past 2 years, he's been a main event level type of singles competitor. From the from he had his match with Roman and it was freaking good. Like I remember seeing like, oh, they're really gonna do Jey Uso for a Universal Championship opportunity, but no, he killed the match. He's been really doing good with the singles stuff. And you remember Kevin Owens was the guy that Jey Uso pinned to win the match at War Games. So for Jey Uso to, or I'm sorry, for Kevin Owens to get his revenge, it was good for Kevin Owens to get his revenge.
Yeah, I agree. Listen. Anytime KO is on the TV, I go hard because I'm a big KO fan. I just think that the Bloodline is a big group, and I don't want them to look weak at all. I know, he got his revenge. It doesn't really make Jey Luke look weak because he won.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I do think that don't give him 4 super kicks and have him kick out of each one.
See, that's not exactly.
Maybe do like 2 or 3 because that's like Jey's biggest finishing move on his own. And if you're able to kick out of it 4 times, how dominant is that move?
Exactly.
But sometimes in particular storylines, stuff like that needs to happen. KO needs to look strong, so I get it. We could see a rematch from Rumble from 2 years ago at the Rumble, Reigns versus Owens. I mean, you never know.
And I think that's what more is going to happen more than
yeah.
And I think that's going to happen at the Rumble. And I feel like if they do something where Sammy does do something with KO for the undisputed titles against the Usos, I feel like that's more Mania. Because I know I have ideas what they could do with Roman at Mania, but what are they gonna do with the Usos at Mania? Because you gotta have them at Mania. They're the undisputed tag champions. So I don't know. Maybe he loses the title to Roman at the Rumble, but then reunites with Sammy at Mania for the undisputed titles.
Could see that happening. That could happen. Well, let me get your quick. I call this the moment of the week, whether it's a match, a moment. What for you stood out to you the most from this week's episode of Raw?
This week's episode of Raw stood out the most. I have it written down here. The very, very opening segment with Becky Lynch. Because like I said, that's going out in the crowd like that, opening segment, especially with the women, just because the way, society is these days, that's how you notice that the one guy, not Bobby, he went, put his arm around Becky Lynch. You saw Becky Lynch quickly back up and go back to Bobby because Bobby didn't make her uncomfortable. So that was the highlight of the week to me, of the show to me, because to do something like that, we haven't seen that very often. WWE fan got his moment to shine on TV. Good interactions with the crowd from Becky. The crowd's always been on Becky's side. So that to me was the start of the show. But I think the 3 stars of the show were Becky Lynch, Kevin Owens, and Jey Uso. And I
Good
give the
picks.
overall show a 7 out of 10.
Oh, sick. Look at that extra shipment. I appreciate it, brother. Look at that. A good educator. I agree. I feel like Becky Lynch, anytime she's on my TV, I'll root for her. So yes, I like that moment. That was the moment of the night for me too. But I will say, and also seeing Alexa Bliss look at the title is interesting for me too. I agree. I give it like a 7.5 out of 10. But we don't have much longer because Shirley's a bitch. So we are going to give our goodbyes. We'll be back shortly with our Friday Night SmackDown recap. We have AEW Dynamite to cover, which will be fun too. That'll be Christian's show.
I'll be covering I'll be doing the main hosting on the AEW episode. So get ready for that one. I'm excited to do that one. So
he's gonna
get ready. I'm gonna kill it.
He's gonna kill it. We're gonna get ready for that. So stay tuned. Be safe, everybody, and we'll see you soon. Peace. Bye. Peace, y'all.